Ladies and gentlemen, what's up? BC here. Welcome back to another episode of Supreme Being. I wanted to talk about something a little bit different today. All right. I jump around subjects. I do my best to keep it simple and basic for most people, right? But this is what I want to discuss today. When I have regular conversations with people, I get interviewed, right? Like I just did another podcast yesterday. I'm doing so many. So I appreciate everybody who's not only hosting their own podcast, but asking me to come on. I'm always open to do that, regardless of the size of the podcast, because I appreciate the hustle. You know, goals and what people do always comes up, right? And I named this podcast the X Factor, but I want to walk you guys through a couple things today, okay? And when I say the X Factor, as I tie it into this first point, this is what you need to think about. Whenever I proclaimed something, had a goal, said, I'm getting into real estate, I'm doing X, I'm doing Y, I'm doing Z. What you guys need to understand is that X factor that I'm talking about was underneath, not the big Y and all that shit. Okay. I don't want to refer to that. I feel like a lot of that stuff has been turned into like mainstream mumbo jumbo that, kind of cripples people because I get messages from people. Oh, I haven't started yet because I'm trying to figure out my big why. No, it's wrong. Right. At the other end of these things that I wanted to do, let's use this example of me becoming an entrepreneur and getting into real estate, right? What was underneath that, okay, was the future vision of who I wanted to be, the attributes that I wanted to have, the life that I wanted to live, but from the perspective of me, okay? A more surface level version of that, if you start going up tiers, would be like money goals, which again, there's nothing wrong with it. That was a big motivator for me. I wanted to make money too. I believe everybody needs to make that a priority, even if it's not the end goal for you. It has to be one of the big ones because with money, life becomes easier and you can actually have a much more positive and major impact on the world and the people around you if you actually have resources, right? But I'm not here to talk about that today specifically, right? I'm talking about that X factor, dude, right? Meaning, for me, I wanted to be that speaker that people were just like, fuck, I'm hooked. Like I listen, I hang on to every single word this dude says. I wanted to have that confidence that everywhere I go, people just would gravitate towards me. I wanted to be a master conversationalist, right? I wanted to go and have, be dropped. Like you could take me like the Sims game, right? And just pick me up and drop me anywhere and I would be fine. I would thrive socially. I would figure it out, right? I wouldn't have any like anxiety. I would, from a social standpoint, financial standpoint, spiritual standpoint, I would be okay. Like I had such a clear vision of how I wanted to develop as a human being and who I wanted to be and what my life would look like overall, not just financially, right? Which is where people usually focus. That it gave me that X factor. Okay. And when I say the X factor, this is what I mean. Being clear about what you want, who you are, where you want to go, and who you want to become. I mean, at the deepest levels. And again, I'm using classic examples like making money and conversational skills, but it can go way beyond it, right? It can go way beyond it. And that could be individualized to you. But this requires retrospection, right? Self-analysis, pen to paper to really say, dude, where am I now? Who do I want to be? What qualities? Like I'm talking, you do a deep dive on yourself. Because then from there, once you start making these connections, this is what I can tell you that happens. All right. I get into real estate or you take the next step to do whatever you want to do, right? For you, it could be different. You're inevitably, and you know this already, even though it's not comfortable emotionally, you're going to be hit with a lot of adversity, challenges, emotional roller coasters and that kind of stuff. The secret, in quotes, that carries you through that is what I'm talking about in this podcast. That's what gives you eternal motivation, right? You'll not buckle or give up when the first sign of opposition comes. I mean, you'll attack everything head on, dude, because that burning desire has been activated. You're so clear about who you are and where you want to go, and every step on this path will lead you there, right? Regardless of how easy or how difficult it is or anything in between, hey, this is what I got to do to get there. So even if it is temporary suffering or sacrifice, you're willing to do it. You're willing to do it because you're very clear about it. right? Where the errors come in is number one, a lot of people will say, I want to make X amount of money, or they'll do these surface level goals and business planning, but it's not them. It's someone else's goals and what they wanted. It's not theirs. It's someone else's. They just haven't done enough, again, introspection, self analysis to understand and identify that, hey, that's not their goal. It's someone else's, right? They haven't located that. They haven't identified that yet because they haven't done the work. So that's one, right? Number two is, again, because you have this lack of depth in your own self-analysis and you haven't activated this X factor, the first sign of opposition or the first challenge gets you to stop. Why? Because it goes back to the first point before that. This isn't really what you want. Why are you going to endure? Because think about it from the outside. You are now activating and walking a path with this X factor that very few people on this planet will ever walk and activate and have and possess. It's looked down upon by most people. Why risk it? Why do this? Oh, you have to be crazy to do it. So by their standards, yes. But again, if I'm not clear about what I want, who I want to become, and these things that I want to develop within me and attain eventually, again, whether they be material or non-material, right? I am going to fall prey to outside judgments and opinions. Why? Because I'm not in a deep relationship with myself. I'm not in a deep understanding with myself. Okay, I'm going to give it a second here. It says the connection is poor. So I'm going to pause here for a second, guys. Give it a sec. All right. Come on, StreamYard. Let's go. All right, it's getting better. Let's see. Is it? Okay, good. Now we're good. If you don't have that, again, connection with yourself where you have that clarity, right? That the dots are connected. You're like, this is who I am. This is what I want. This is what I'm going for. And I've approved it myself. And this is what I want. Nothing else matters. It's just about this, right? Then, of course, outside opinions and oppositions are just going to bounce off you, dude. It's not going to matter at all. Why? You're clear about who you are and what you want. You don't care now. But if all that stuff isn't handled now, of course, any little thing can find a chink in your armor. But that's a self-imposed chink in the armor, right? And again, the more you do this, the more conversations you have with yourself, the more you do that self-exploration, all this stuff that gets activated and done, again, you destroy 99% of the problems that people have. Why do you guys think that I don't have to deal with lack of motivation and all that? And like, right, I seem to be operating at a different level and I've been doing it for 10 years now. So if I wasn't sustainable, man, that ship would have crashed or docked a long time ago, and it hasn't. I'm still moving forward. You guys saw I just moved real estate companies. I walked away from a $500,000 a year revenue share business that was passive income from EXP. I just got my 5th payment with Real. I've been with them 5 months, $8,500. I've already turned that into 6 figures. I'm going to go well beyond $500,000, take it to $1 million in the next 6 to 12 months. I said 12 to 18 months, $1 million business, which means I got to be making $80,000 a month. I'll be doing it, right? But man, moving, shaking, conviction. I'm clear about what I want. I make these moves where most people, I would never walk away from that money. Well, that's what makes me different from you. I have the X factor that you don't. I'm not going to step over dollars to pick up pennies. I'm not going to allow my vision to be, clouded just by money. I'm going to assess things from a higher level and a different perspective, right? But you have to activate this stuff. I'm clear about who I am, my values, what I align with, what I don't, all this stuff from top to bottom. My health, my finances, my business, my relationships, my communication, my friendships, everything, dude. But I do this all the time, okay? You're not weird for checking in for yourself or with yourself, right? You're not weird for having your own personal conversations and asking yourself, what do I want, right? And again, it's not that you have to find yourself. That's bullshit. You never lost yourself. You're just a little bit out of touch with yourself, right? You just have to reconnect. Same thing like I tell you guys, and I've told you guys, reconnect with that childlike enthusiasm and spirit that you once had in regards to your goals and what you want. It was already there, right? You just have to reconnect with it. You never lost it, right? It just got dumbed down by other stuff and other beliefs and, your environment and influences and whatever it was. Happened to all of us, most of us, right? Some people were fortunate enough to have people and circumstances around them that fanned the flames of that and amplified it versus, stripped it away from them. But this is the X factor, y'all. You getting closer and getting better with you, because that's the question, the age-old question I would ask you. Are you okay with you? Are you okay with you? Probably not. Right? Looking in the mirror, right? Like, again, classic example, you shoot a video, you show somebody else right next to you the video of you. Are you going to be proud to show it, or are you going to be cringing? Do you watch your own stuff, or does it not make you feel good? You see, like, these are indicators of where you're at with you. And you know the real answer. You can tell people that, oh, I love myself and all that. But again, deep down inside, you know if that's true or not. But if you're lacking in that department, everything is affected, right? That will stop you from growing your business, seeking relationships, being social, and doing a lot of the things that you want to do, right? This is the X factor, ladies and gentlemen. Take the time. And again, there's no, well, how do I start? Dude, you just do it. There's no special way to do it. If there's any tips I give you, get pencil, get paper, ask yourself questions. What do I like? Why do I start questioning what you're doing now? Why am I in this career? Why did I choose this? Why aren't I going for more? Do I really believe that I'm going to hit my goals this year? What's missing? What is it really going to take? What am I potentially not looking at? What am I doing well? What do I need to give myself credit for that I haven't given myself credit for, right? These are some things that you can start doing, right? Especially if you know what your weak points are. Let's say you put yourself down too much, you over criticize, you don't give yourself enough praise, and you know it, and you've kind of identified that. Okay, then do an exercise where, hey, I'm going to highlight 5 things I can improve, but I'm also going to write down 5 things that I need to give myself credit for and give myself a pat on the back. Now, at least you're playing on an even playing field, but you had to identify it. Then you had to take your ass through that exercise to do it. And if you start doing that once or twice a day, every day, after a couple weeks, this will start to shift. This will start to shift, but it took an awareness and it took a different set of actions to get you there. So this is self-repair, self-analysis, self-improvement, self-help, right? At a higher level. I don't know if you guys can hear the thundering right here in Miami. Rightfully so. We're dropping knowledge, aren't we? Again, don't get caught up in all the BL. Oh, how do I know? What notebook, what pen? No, dude, just start doing it. Again, this is you with you. Sit in silence and do this, not with music and a bunch of other stuff around you. No, sit in silence and do this. And you will activate this burning desire, this deep-rooted potential that was always in you, dude. This is what will allow you to shine and not care anymore about other people's opinions, move forward with unending enthusiasm, going after what you want without apology, right? Being bold and all the stuff that people point at people and say, whoa, right? They're so cool. They do this. Dude, everybody has that capacity with them, but it requires this. Because if you never make this connection like I have, and I did 10 years ago or so or more, man, you will always be riddled with problems and be dealing with the same BS that other people are dealing with. On pretty much every level, I live differently than most people, and I've embraced that. I accept that. I love it. And I openly, like today, right? I'll give you guys an example. For whatever reason, right? I think, at least through my own self-analysis, I changed the substance that I used to like wash my clothes, and I feel like that chemicals in it or something affected my skin. So for the last couple weeks without me knowing, it made my skin a little red and itchy. And you guys have been noticing maybe on some of the videos I'm scratching, like it's uncomfortable. I finally identified it, went to a doctor today, and with the doctor, we again, a holistic doctor, right? Because you guys know I'm not against, but a little skeptical of a lot of the traditional medicine stuff based on my past and my medical history, right? And even, in that meeting with the doctor, I was very open about stuff with him. And I said, look, dude, if you're going to tell me that, like, as an example, let's say you identify this as a internal problem, like you're going to tell me I need to change my diet. I'm just letting you know I'm plant-based. I'm not going to introduce animal products regardless of what you say. I'm just letting you know. So in your preparation for this, if that's something that you wanted to do or suggest, either we need a plant-based alternative or we don't do it, right? It's not to say that I'm better than you. It's just that's a belief system of mine. And no matter what you say in regards to that, it's not going to change. And he respected it. He's like, okay, cool, right? But I was open about it. I didn't hide it. I said, hey, dude, these are my values. This is what I live by. I respect what you're doing. This is what I'm open to. And I said, this is the one thing that I'm not going to do, right? If I was like, I haven't really taken medicine, but hey, if you prescribe medicine and it's really needed, I'll take it, right? If that's a genuine diagnosis that you make, sir, no problem. All right. I'd rather have a natural alternative, but if necessary, sure, I'll take medicine if it's going to give me the solution. So right now, long story short, it's topical, right? I got some like natural, a herbal kind of like a cream that I'm putting on because we believe, based on what I said and what I told him and what's happening, that it's a topical thing, meaning whatever was in that thing kind of irritated my skin. We'll do this. I'll rewash all my sheets, everything in my house, and then maybe in a week or two, it'll go back to normal. We'll see. If not, we're doing a blood test and a bunch of other stuff, right? But again, I don't know anybody who would say that to a doctor, really, right? They would then just say what the doctor, like, oh man, well, I got to eat meat even though I don't want to, but the doctor said, right? Again, I'm not here to say I'm better than that person, but I did what I did. I have my code, what I do, and that's an example of how I would live, and he respected it, right? But he also looked at my thing and was like, man, you're like the healthiest person I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah. He's like, I wouldn't be surprised if when we do your blood work, you're going to be like the healthiest person ever. Right. And he was just impressed. He's like, man, you're so disciplined. You do all this. And I was like, yeah, bro, I'm sure you might even think I'm lying because you never see it, but this is how I live. And he was just very positive with me. And I really appreciated that. Right. But I was telling him about this stuff. I was like, dude, I'm really dedicated, but I've been doing this stuff for a while. And, I teach this stuff too. And I want to be the example. I have to be the embodiment of these principles that I discuss. Otherwise, it's just all fluff and BS. And I'm no different from these garbage influencers that just lie to people. Right. But activate this, y'all. This is what you got to do. Find this, right? What's your code? Do you have a code? How do you want it to change? Is there something that maybe you don't live by now that you would like to get stronger to live by? I don't know. But these are the things that allow you to stand tall like a man, put your foot down, stand for something, speak up, go after what you want, attain what you want to attain in this life without apology, and move like the person that you must to live that life and be the person that you want to be, because changes are going to have to be made. And some of them you may not like. Some of them will make you uncomfortable. However, they have to be done. But you got to do this self-work, right? You got to put the pencil and the pen to the journal and really ask yourself those questions, figure stuff out. What are your weak links? What do you do good? And take it to that level, man. Because if you never do, and you're always out here surface level listening to music and not ever coming in here, you'll just be so out of touch with yourself that you're going to be unhappy, unfulfilled. And it's going to be tough for you to really focus and do some of these things that may seem foreign to you, like extreme focus. Focus for me is very simple. Meditation for me is very simple. Being disciplined, not eating garbage, right? All the stuff that people struggle with for me is like easy. I almost look at people now and say, how do you struggle with that, right? But it's been my normal now, in quotes, for so long. You can get there too. All right, that's it for this one, guys. Hit me up if you need anything. We got the coaching and everything in the description. We'll see you. Peace.